Hi, welcome to another episode of Heavenward Podcast. My name is Samantha. I am a psychic medium, a vessel for source, as well as a healer. And today we are going to be diving into a channeled message I've been receiving from God about finances. So if you are in a season where you are working on your relationship with money, or you're in a season where you're manifesting money, you're in a season where you are in a drought or you feel you're in a drought, um, this is for you. Now, the thing about it is, I sometimes question, why be God? Why? Why are you asking me to share this message about finances when I myself am currently in a season? I've been in this season for a long time. Saturn in the second house, okay? Um, and I am also learning a lot about money. But the message that I am sharing, I have been through and learned a certain aspect of dealing with a lot of money issues over my life, and experiences that led me to a space of not allowing money to dictate my perspective on life and also to not take away from my life. That I have learned. Now, do I practice that all the time? No. Sometimes I go right back into survival mode. This year has been a really tough year for me when it comes to survival mode, and it's not just due to finances, but um, just with everything that I have on my plate now. But you know, survival mode is really a bitch. Like, let's be real. Like, when our nervous system gets out of whack, man, it is hard to get it back. Like, I truly am on that journey right now of literally healing my nervous system, so much so that I've been having fear of being taken out of that. So, all that to say, I have very personal experience with this. And I guess that's why maybe I'm being used as the vessel here to communicate this message. Um, Now, before anything, I do want to get into my intentions for this episode, for the podcast, that I like to say before every episode. So, my intention with the Heavenward Podcast is vast. The information shared, I pray, meets you where needed in your personal journey. I intend for you to leave today with tools, insights, and validation of your own experience. This is a safe space, and everybody will be honored and respected, as everyone's journeys are different, but also the same, as there is a thread connecting us all to the Creator. My mission is to show how interconnected we are and that we are in this together, whether we like it or not. So, today, again, we're diving into this channel message I have. And I typed everything down that I was receiving. So, bear with me. That's what I'm looking at. If you wonder what I'm looking at, it's my notes. So, the main message here, this is how God set it up, is that God will use your financial situation to bring you to a place of surrender to realize the things that actually matter. That's the main thing here. And that's the message, is that I feel like God is wanting to I'm seeing somebody being like untangled by the burden of what they feel money to be or their financial situation. Um, so diving into this, you know, God reminded me of a specific time in my life, that I struggled so much with money and finances and finding a job and all this stuff that I had no choice but to sit with the fear of losing my car, my apartment, my credit, and I was so just like, I felt like the scum of the earth. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate. And, I went through this season, that type of season, multiple times. It wasn't just one time for me, multiple times. Um, and so it just creates, that fear, which again, a lot of you could probably relate. Um, and what that made me come to is that I had to accept that even if those things happened or one of those things happened, which one of them did, I would be okay. And I am okay. It will not take from my life experience. It will not take away from the way I live and my joy and my ability to feel happy and for me to be able to still have fun and laugh. I choose to live anyway and find the things to be grateful for and shift into inner peace. Um, it was especially 2020, 2021-ish is like the realm that I really learned this is how to tap into my inner peace despite what's going on around me and despite how I felt like everything was anything but peaceful in my life. I was in a really, really controlling relationship or marriage, and it took away, I allowed it to be taken away um, because of my low self esteem at the time. I really felt like I was at the hands of somebody who was just always struggling, always miserable, always blaming everybody else. And I had to be at the hands of that because I was you know, under their hands. Like I was being controlled by them. I wasn't allowed to do what I needed to do to bring in more money. I wasn't allowed to get a job or anything like that because of her insecurities. So, all that to say, during that time, I was literally locked up in her place for a year where I truly didn't leave the place at all ever because I just felt so anxious and so limited and again controlled. Um where she was always having meltdowns and was mentally not stable. Um I had nobody that I felt like I could talk to, and finances were so bad. It was such a scary time financially, and we had a period where there were months that we were just waiting to get evicted, basically. And I was like, you know, my heart's even hurting as I talk about this. It was so stressful. Um, so all that again to say, that time really brought me to my knees in a sense. After that relationship ended, thank God, because it actually saved me even, just from that stress. I was able to kind of heal that a bit. Um, because I was able to take back my power in how I move now and how I can have a job and make money. It showed me that money literally it's just a tool. It's supposed to just be a tool. It's not meant to, it shouldn't be so limiting, and it shouldn't be something that takes from our lives or that we allow to take from our lives. And that's where the perspective comes in, because it's like people got kids, people got families, people got bills. Like we got a lot going on. And, how are we supposed to not stress when we need rent or we need a roof over us and the kids' heads? Like, it's hard to bypass that. You can't bypass that. You can't say, "Oh, just shift your perspective. Oh, just, meditate." Like, it's like sometimes you really do just need money and you do just need a way. Um but again, it's like that's kind of like counteracting the message, because God's like, you can look at it that way all you want. But the real truth, the truth of the matter is, who decides that you can't still find some inner peace, inner peace and balance, even in times of uncertainty or even in times of drought, even in times of not knowing where the hell you're going to get your next meal or your next paycheck or your next um rent payment. Like, who's to say you can't, is the question to ask. um but one thing I again learned again learned is about inner peace. And this is kind of how I went about it and continue to go about it when I'm able to remind myself or God reminds me. um what God told me is, sometimes we need money, but other times we think that's what we need. But what God is trying to teach us is actually discipline through those hard times or hardships, or inner peace is what's trying to be taught to us during these hardships in the midst of what, again, feels like chaos, like the story I described. Maybe God's trying to teach us how to get a hold on our thoughts. It's something deeper to prepare us for the next season. So, God uses finances, and how much God knows it has a hold on all of us, most of us, will use that to help us to surrender, and will help us to have no choice but to let go in order to just not succumb to the stress, that we say, F it. I'm going to go do this and still go work out, or I'm not going to let this keep me down. I'm not going to let it keep me in a space where I am feeling like I'm dying and depressed and like over money, over the fear of the loss of that independence and freedom. Um, and I also feel, those who grew up in survival mode know that even when you're good, you don't feel it. Like, you could have a full savings and you still won't feel like you're good. And I think this goes to show that financially it's never enough to feel secure when you have a certain relationship with money, and when you have a history of being in survival mode and living through survival mode. And that's the point God's trying to make, is that money will never teach you what life will, what God will, through hardship and loss, through feeling inadequate, feeling like a shithead, feeling broke, all those feelings that come with that. That is where God really teaches you the things you really need, the things that really matter. It'll push you to seek out support. It'll push you to seek out um, other realms of income. It'll push you to seek out peace in like nature, to go out and venture off more to find peace. Like for me personally, like the beach and nature. When I go to the beach or nature, like if I'm really stressed, God will literally just keep it going. Like, go to the beach, go to the beach. And it's because every time I'm at the beach, I truly just feel like nothing matters. I feel like it reminds me what life really is, what life's really meant to be, and that the societal structures we are under, you know, um, are not meant to help us succeed. And, especially for certain communities. I'm very much aware that there's a lot at play when it comes to the financial systems and orchestrations, especially in the US, and the systematic oppression and racism and all that goes into it. So, it's not as simple as saying, just do this, or just tap into wealth consciousness, or just take this workshop to unlock your highest potential when it comes to money and to get rich. And I feel like I get so irritated. I'm not even gonna lie. I get so irritated when I see stuff like that. And not saying that they don't work. I'm not saying they don't shift mindsets and all that and do some of the work and help you to do some of the work. Um, but there's a lot more at play here that one person or a few people can't teach and can't um, change alone. It's something much deeper, and it goes into the systems at play in the government and the economy and what that even is. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are people, puppet masters at play. And so what this message is really for is just to give you some peace in the midst of all of this, because it may feel very suffocating financially for you right now, for whoever is on here watching this. It might feel very, very suffocating for your financial situation, and just the feeling of just like, when will I be free from survival? When will I be able to create? When will I be able to get above water here? There's like feelings of helplessness I can even feel for some of you who are watching this. And, God's not being discarding of the truth of the matter, which is that, systems need to break. But there is power in tapping into your strength, asking God for strength to remove yourself for periods of the day, to just be able to feel some inner peace and to be able to just tap into that for moments of the day that, who you are, what you are, your situation doesn't matter. So God gave me an exercise to give to you guys or to share with you on here. So this is, I guess, a sort of mantra or visualization exercise that you guys can do. I would say once a day or whenever you feel called or whenever you're feeling stressed, is to visualize yourself. You shut your phone off. You don't have to go to work. You don't have anybody who needs you. You don't have anybody distracting you. It's just literally you. That's it. It's you. That's it. You. No distractions, no social media, nothing. What would the noise say? What would the noise say then? What would your thoughts say? If you didn't know what was going on in the world, didn't have anybody projecting their expectations and opinions onto you, again, nobody needs you. This is just simply asking you to just imagine and visualize this. What is that feeling that comes up in you? What's the feeling? Is it a feeling of nothingness? A feeling of quiet, stillness? That's what it feels like to be centered. That's what it feels like to be content and have inner peace. That's what it feels like. So what can you do to create a little bit more of that in your life so that you can have those moments where God can speak to you and God can find a way in despite the stresses you deal with and despite the barriers that, you have to fight every day? This is yourself just being this feeling. Remind yourself of this feeling. This is sovereignty. This is power. This is your stillness, your presence, your existence is simply your power. That in itself is a blessing. There's nothing running you, and all that occurs, and all will be well no matter what. Because you will always have that feeling, that presence, that existence. You will always have that, no matter what's going on around you or within you. You have that. And that presence, that stillness is no better than anybody else's and no less than anybody else's. It's yours. Finances don't run me, I run them. That's a mantra I want you guys to repeat. I feel like we just need to take a breath. And finances don't run me, I run them. Finances don't run blah, blah, blah. Finances don't run me, I run them. It is a tool, it is not life. Money can give temporary peace. Money can give temporary happiness. Money can feed the ego. Money can feed the children. Money can feed yourself. Your safe home. Yes, money is meant to be sacred. But why is money the only currency? Why is money the only way we can exchange for goods and services? I want you guys to think about that. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts. Anything to add on this topic? I pray that those of you, because I could feel a lot of you struggling at this time, overwhelmed and just feeling burdened by life and by responsibilities and by what's being asked of you and needed from you and obligations and just having to show up despite how you feel. And God's with you. God wants you to know that God's there to talk to as your closest friend, and to just make time during your day, no matter what you're going through. Like, make time to do the things you love. Make time to do the things that do give you that little bit of peace and that little bit of happiness, that little bit of joy. Shift where you can, and know that everything is temporary. Like I told you, I've been going through this money thing, this money, changing my belief systems and survival mode and poverty mindset, lack mindset, victim mentality. I've been working through this for a very long time, years, over 10 years. This has been one of my toughest battles in my own life. But when you grow up in survival mode and watching people around you in survival mode and having poverty mindsets, it's like, what do you expect? But I'm intending to break it. I'm intending to do the work. And I know a lot of you here also feel the same. And so this is just that meeting point where I'm encouraging you to also step into the places, or open up the places in your life and in your energy and in your mind that to let God in, and take the advice of God in this message for this time being, no matter what, again, you're going through. There's always a way through in some regard, even if it's just a little bit. So thank you so much, guys, for listening, for being here. And I pray this brings you so much ease, peace, and that you can leave this video, this episode, and go about your day with some awareness and some drive and feeling some hope that things can change and things can get better. And you can start maybe finding some ways to contribute more to your joy throughout your day. So yeah, so thank you. And if anybody wants to book with me for personal readings, healings, coaching, candles, anything like that, you can go to the link in my bio. So again, thank you, and I'll see you guys in my next episode. Blah, blah, blah. Next episode. Bye.